welcome so much to the podcast, Tiffie. It is again amazing to have you on here. Why don't you introduce yourself to the audience, share a bit about your own content? Let's get started.
Sure. My name is Tiffie Starchild, and I am a content creator. I am mainly here on Instagram and also on TikTok, YouTube. I've been kind of all over the internet, and I've done a lot of things. Now, a lot of people know me from the villain PR. I would say that
Right.
that's where a lot of people picked me up on their radar. But just if it has something to do with nerdy, that's where I am. Long story short.
Yes, I absolutely love that. I've seen your Marvel content, X-Men, Disney, the Disney villain stuff. It's really amazing.
Thank
And I'm
you.
sure your audience just resonates with that. They enjoy Disney, they like watching your content.
Mhm.
And do you have a specific kind of content that you like making? Is it specifically Disney, Marvel, upcoming shows? Which one is your favorite to produce
My
and
my
make?
favorite is really just whatever I'm into at the moment. So like right
Okay.
now, since I'm watching a lot of House of the Dragon,
Right.
that's what my favorite is to talk about. So and
Okay.
sometimes it might be something random. Like I think very randomly I started talking about the costumes from different Disney live action movies.
I remember that.
Yeah, nothing relevant, nothing really triggered that happening in pop culture. I'm just like, you know what? This dress eats. I gotta talk about it. And that was it.
Exactly. And what was your favorite like dress that you talked about? If it was like Cinderella's stepmother or Cinderella's own dress, or which one out of the Disney clothing did you like the most?
Oh, I think that if we're talking live action of all
Yeah, of all of them.
of all time,
Or top two.
top two, okay, top two definitely. One of them would for sure be Cinderella's dress from the 2015 live action Cinderella
Yes.
because because it just and I would actually choose that over the Brandy Cinderella dress, which was beautiful. It's just
Really?
going, oh, absolutely, because you're asking 2024 Tiffy. Now, if you had asked me back when I was a kid, then it might have been the Brandy Cinderella. Looking back on that dress with today's aesthetics and preferences, that dress is beautiful,
Hmm.
but it also is giving 1997. So it's a
Right.
beautiful dress. It's not in the top one of all time. I would have to give it up to Cinderella for her dress. And at the same time, there's one of the looks that the evil stepmother from that same movie,
The
the
green one,
costume designer from
right?
the green one, exactly,
Yes.
yeah. That costume specifically just had the luscious, most beautiful fairy tale, even though they were pulling from different time periods and inspiration, that
Mhm.
movie,
That movie.
it's so good, yeah.
Okay. So for Disney live actions, that one is like your number one like favorite movie. Is that like would you say that?
Would it be my favorite movie? That's a good question. Probably is
Hmm.
Cinderella. Cruella is my favorite live
Cruella.
action Disney movie. Yeah.
Ooh, why
Mm-hmm.
is that?
Because Cruella, I think without it took this, maybe because I'm also a little villain inclined, but it took the story of the
Understandable.
villain and they're like, you think this villain is bad, wait till you
Mhm.
meet her mother. Like it was very like, oh, so that was pretty cool. Just the way
Right.
that they utilized fashion, music,
Hmm.
they put it in the 60s, so they utilized a different time period as well. I think Cinderella was a one-to-one remake practically there were some
Yes.
differences, but Cruella reminded us why Disney got to be on top as far as storytelling. It wasn't their ability to take something and reproduce it the exact way it was before, because a lot of Disney stories aren't original. They existed in some place beforehand.
Hmm.
It's been their ability to retell the story in a new and interesting way. Cinderella told the
Yes.
story, it was great, but Cruella did something entirely new with characters that have been around for decades, and I think that's why it gets like the leg up for me.
All right. That sounds fantastic. I also enjoyed that movie. I watched it was really amazing, like prequel. Like we got to see like the villain origin story for Cruella de Vil, and we don't get to see that often with
We don't.
live actions from Disney. It's usually just a remake or basically the same story as the animation.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And would you want to see more live actions that kind of change that narrative with some of our like the villains, for instance?
I would like to see both. I like them both. I like the live actions
Hmm.
like Cinderella that are a direct remake of the original animation, and I
Hmm.
like the retelling, the new adaptation of it. I think that there is space for both. So
Okay.
I want to see more of them. If there's a like with the Little Mermaid, I loved this cartoon so much. Yes,
So
give it to
beloved.
me live action. Even if it doesn't hit all the marks, I can always go back and watch the cartoon. Like it's not a big deal. So I say
Hmm.
both.
Okay. And with The Little Mermaid, where do you think it like fell short from the original animated movie?
Where the Little Mermaid live action fell short.
Hmm.
Um, Specifically for that movie, I think that the production design went a little too far into give them something different. Like,
Oh,
yes, you can switch up
okay.
the formula, but I think it still has to make sense, especially considering the source material and the audience. So if you
Hmm.
have something for like The Little Mermaid, which since 1989 has had people by the throat, you're already making this huge change by casting Halle Bailey, a black woman, as Ariel.
Yes.
Fully support that decision, stand by them making that choice to this day. She was clearly the best person for the role. You're already
Sure.
shaking it up by doing that.
Hmm.
Maybe it would have benefited them to keep some things like the classic tale, just because at that point it is a different movie. I think that fans had a
Oh.
right to be kind of like, oh, and
Hmm.
people that also love Hallie and wanted to support her in this role also have room to be like, oh, it wasn't
Hmm.
a bad movie. I loved it. Actually, I love it a lot, but I
Okay.
see the criticisms and I think that they're valid. If I could
Hmm.
place one part where they fell short, costuming, because how
Okay.
in this underwater world every one of her sisters had these insane designs. They were representing the different seas because King Triton was a hoe. He was getting around, so he had daughters representing all the different of
Exactly.
the seven seas.
Uh-huh.
But then she comes onto land, and they put her in the same funky dress for 3 days. That doesn't make any sense. So just
It doesn't.
costuming wise, where was the disconnect there? And they didn't give us the sparkly dress at the end. That was the moment.
Right.
Give us the sparkly dress. She's supposed to go back to her man that ain't do nothing with her arms open with her sparkly dress on, and we didn't get that. So I
We did
think
not.
that's yeah,
Exactly. Yeah, I that's completely understandable. If we wanted more from this movie, we got an okay movie, but the production, the costuming could have all been improved. Is that right?
yeah, so along those
Right.
lines, yeah, more or less.
Okay. And which upcoming Disney live action or any kind of Disney Marvel movie are you excited for in this
um,
year
I'm
or a couple years from
looking
now?
forward. I'm looking forward to Deadpool and Wolverine.
Deadpool? Okay,
Yeah,
okay. All
yeah.
right.
I think those movies have always been fun. It'll be
Mm-hmm.
interesting to see how they pull with things happening in different timelines, things like that. I think
Yes.
that it'll be a lot of fun.
Okay.
Yeah.
And are you like, do you have a favorite character? Would it be Deadpool or Wolverine?
Between the two of them,
Yes.
I'm let me see. Wolverine just off rip
Ooh. Okay.
because he's an X-Men and
He
there's
is.
that.
Yeah.
And when it comes to their roles within Marvel, I'm not a huge fan of either one of them, but I'm far
Okay.
more familiar with Wolverine.
All
I
right.
think Deadpool is the more entertaining character, but I
Always the
think
jokes. Yeah.
always with the jokes.
Mm-hmm.
But Wolverine is the gateway to like, let's see where Deadpool can go with these jokes because of Wolverine's involvement.
Yeah.
That's I'm interested in seeing how that works
Like the
out.
intersectionality. Okay. I
Mm-hmm.
I get that. And are you gonna watch it when it, comes out July 26th? You're gonna wait a few days?
Oh,
Or are you watching it
see it.
early? You're gonna see
I'm not seeing this one early. I was
okay.
invited to a screening, but
Ooh.
I live in San Diego and screenings are not always in San Diego. And I'm just like, oh, you want me to take a 3 hour drive to watch a 2 hour movie? I don't know about that. So so sometimes I don't go to the screenings, but this one
Yeah.
also happens to be premiering or releasing right smack in the middle of Comic Con because we have San Diego Comic Con happening.
Oh.
So it kind of depends on what's happening with the convention, but
Mm-hmm.
I plan on seeing it the night that it's released, just because it's a huge
Yeah.
thing. It's Deadpool as Wolverine. It's what people are going to be talking about online. Is what
I
they're going to be
know.
talking about at the convention. Like,
Exactly.
yeah.
You don't
So
want to get spoiled. Like you want to watch this
I
movie
want to be able to
without
enjoy it
right.
exactly.
Okay.
Hmm.
Can you talk more through Comic Con? I've never personally been to any, but what is San Diego's Comic Con like?
Oh, well, it's my favorite. It's my favorite time of the year. I do
Yes.
call it my little like Christmas in July situation
Mhm.
because as a nerd, there's just so much to do, and as a San Diego native, it's also super dope. Comic Con is I someone can fact check me on this. I think it's one of the biggest conventions, at least in America, might be the world. It's very famous and for good
Wow.
reason. It's the biggest pop culture event convention that we have, and so it's changed over the years.
Mhm.
I remember Comic Con when it wasn't so much about pop culture; it was about comics.
Ooh.
And then oh yeah, right, it's crazy. But then around the time that Twilight got real popular, then it started to
Mhm.
see more just media and pop culture in general being introduced. And when that happens at any point, it has this huge scale. It got really really big. It's really hard to get tickets most of the time.
Mhm.
If you want to go to the panels where they're dropping the super cool information like Hall H, you are camping out at least one day. And if that's how you want to experience the convention, waiting in the sun for a panel to sit at the back of the room, some
Mm.
people love that. It'll never be me.
Yeah.
I don't carry my glasses. I'm not wearing my glasses now. So I'm not gonna be able to see anything anyway. And
Exactly.
somebody's gonna have the highlight reel with all the information, the important
Straw
information
Hat
dropping at
Goofy.
some point. Straw Hat Goofy.
Right.
There's a lot of people that are gonna be in that room, and I'm gonna be like,
Yeah.
what are they doing? When I have media access to, I've never gotten media access to Comic Con, so it's definitely on the list. But for other
Okay.
conventions like D23, LA Comic Con,
Ooh.
WonderCon, is
Mhm.
different because you don't have to wait in the line. Hi, Dana. You don't have to wait in the line to
Mhm.
wait for the panels. They have a nice little separate entrance, and so you go, you enjoy your day, you come in with the press, you take your notes,
Ooh.
you report to the people. That's not what Comic Con's about to be like for me. So,
Okay.
but because also what I do when it comes to content creation, like anything can be content. My camera's always on. The camera always eats first.
Yeah.
Comic Con is the convention that I allow myself to not do all of that, and it's kind of hard because it's like,
Oh.
ooh, I want to report on things. I want to be that person. I have a community that wants to hear things from me or my take,
Mhm.
but I also want to enjoy myself. So for me,
Okay.
Comic Con specifically is about like, yes, see all the new nerdy things, report it to my community. But if that ever infringes on me having a good ass time at Comic Con, whatever that means, I'm not doing it. You're gonna have to go to Straw Hat Goofy because
Right.
the Tiffy ain't doing
Okay.
it.
That's understandable. I get that. You want to enjoy your time here. You got your tickets and you just want to be in that moment
Yeah, sorry.
of Comic Con.
My thing was caught on this whole time. I've been
No,
trying to
no, don't
unstick
worry
my
about don't worry
yeah,
about it.
that's basically the vibe. Yeah, like
Okay.
if I'm able to
Mhm.
report, but I'm not going to wait for it. There are activations throughout the city. Most conventions just take place like at a convention center, like San Diego Convention Center is where it takes place. But there's
Right.
also two Marriotts and a Hilton on either
Ooh.
side. They
Okay.
also have things that are going on. The library
Mhm.
down the street is officially a Comic Con space. And then all of
Aw.
the Gaslamp Quarter, which is the part of downtown San Diego that it sits in,
Mhm.
all the businesses, all the restaurants, they're all Comic Con as well. And you don't need a ticket to get into those. So literally, it
Nice.
becomes an event for the city. San Diego takes
Okay.
Comic Con very seriously. Mm-hmm.
Right. That seems really clear. Like you guys, like everything is dedicated to that time
Mm-hmm.
to have
Mm-hmm.
comics, all these movies coming
Comics,
out.
movies,
Right.
yep, all that.
That's exciting. So how do you get tickets to it? What was your process in getting those very coveted tickets to Comic Con?
Well, well, it used to be way back when. I'm saying this, yeah, like maybe 10 years ago or so.
Mm.
The way that I got in is knowing somebody.
Ooh.
So knowing, so yeah, just people, somebody on the inside, some way or another. I got a ticket, and every year you can plan for Comic Con. You can try to get into the lottery and get it that way. When they release the tickets, you can do the scramble when they're releasing them.
Yeah.
I thankfully have never had to do that. I've always had a friend or someone on the inside to be like, hey, and even if I had to pay for the ticket, I didn't have to do the whole rigmarole of like trying to have access to
Mhm.
one. Things have changed since being a content creator. I'm very fortunate. I'm very blessed. I don't have to do that anymore. And my mom and I were just talking about it, like just what a wonderful change that's been. I don't ever have to wonder about where my ticket is coming from. This year, I'm on 3 different
Oh,
panels. Each
wow.
panel offers me a ticket. So at the same
That's
time,
amazing.
if I wanted to, yeah, if I
Hmm.
wanted to, I could get all 3 of those tickets. I could sell the extra. You know, there are a lot of things that I
I'll
could be the
buy
outside
it.
person, and I could. And the thing is,
Mhm.
well, if it does not harm anyone else, I'll do that. But say the panel, say they have a guest they want to bring, or there's a need for somebody else to have an extra ticket. I don't
Mhm.
need to hold on to 3 tickets if somebody immediately needs one. So
Okay.
now, being a professional in the industry, that's how I get my tickets. Mhm.
Nice. So which panels are you speaking on, if you can share that with
I
us?
can. And that
Okay.
reminds me, I'm supposed to make a flyer to post on my social
Oh,
media. Um, uh,
okay. All right.
two of them, I'm on the panel. One, I'm moderating. The one that I'm moderating is the 4th time I've moderated this panel, and is diversity in fantasy, which is very
Wow.
cool. Talking
Mm-hmm.
about things that affect us and people like us, and it's a beautiful,
Yes.
wonderful panel of fantasy authors,
Oh. Mm-hmm.
and they talk about their experiences, what
Wow.
it took to get to where they are, the rejection that they face, where they find
Mm-hmm.
inspiration. And there have been some pretty cool people on the panel. Paul S. Levine, who was the executor of Jack Kirby's estate. If you're familiar with Marvel Comics and those names ring any bells,
Yes.
it's sitting up on a panel with legends, basically. And I get to ask them
Oh,
questions
wow.
like, yeah, tell me more about like it. So that's very cool.
Yes.
And then there's another panel that's I I forget the exact name of it, but it's about food because I be eating, and it's about food and fandom, and I'm just like, oh, is this panel gonna have snacks? I don't think that it is, but just talking about like, yeah, food and fandoms and things like that. And then the last one is diversity in fandom.
Okay.
That's the one where a little bit of the imposter syndrome. I had to remind myself that I deserve to be in the spaces that I'm in,
Ooh,
because
okay.
on that one it's people with real careers, like and mine's a real career, but
You
just
have a real
for
career.
example, thank you, Boda Mayo, who was the showrunner, director, all of that for the first season of X-Men 97, he's on the panel, which I didn't know until the person that invited me on to the panel gave me the flyer when everything was concerned. I was like, oh, and everything is like
What?
TV director, writer, producer, and then there's my picture, content creator, and I'm just like,
You
hey,
deserve to be here. You're part of that panel for a reason. So, but
thank
yay.
you. Thank you.
Mhm.
And I, yeah, so I'm a little nervous because I be fangirling really hard. So we'll see what
Wow. Again, that sounds really exciting. So, when is Comic Con? Is it like next week?
is
When is
next
it
week.
coming up?
Girl,
It's
yep,
next
it's next week.
week. Wow.
Officially, it's Thursday through Sunday, but there is a day 0 that you can attend as well. So I'm
Hmm.
gonna be there at day 0 on
Ooh.
Wednesday. But that's
Okay.
really the dope day. There's no programming, so you can't watch any panels. You
Hmm.
can't buy most of the stuff that's there. But the activations that are around the convention center in downtown San Diego, they're already set up. So I always tell people, even if you don't have a ticket and you don't want to deal with crowds, go on Wednesday, because more likely than not, you can get to those little areas before the big crowds get there. So,
Right.
yeah,
Okay. So day 0 is when to get
day
there, when to start
0,
exploring.
start the ground
Okay.
running.
Woo! That's exciting. Okay. Well, I hope you have a really great time at Comic Con.
Thank
Like, that is,
you.
I hope one day to eventually go. I'm over here at the East Coast, so it's like a bit of a flight,
Do you ever
but
do New York Comic Con or any of those, or Emerald City, or?
I have not, but hopefully maybe this year or next year could be the start of that. Like I really want
Yeah,
to get more into like, going to these kind of events. So you're definitely
yeah.
an inspiration because I know you mentioned like D23, the Disney Expo.
Oh yeah,
Is that what it's called?
D23.
D23, right.
Mm-hmm.
And did you go this year or last year for it?
Um, it skips. It's every
Oh,
other year. So
every year.
this year
Okay.
is back in California, and it's
Hmm.
the beginning of August. So we're gonna go right from Comic Con, quick little breather, D23
Wow.
Expo. Hmm.
Okay. Do you think you have enough time to like, recover before going to D23?
Oh yeah, this is the life. This is
It's
this
alive.
is this is my favorite part of the, like, we have to keep it going. We have to, because right after that is Labyrinth of Jareth, where
Oh.
if you ever seen the Labyrinth, it's
Hmm.
based off of the ballroom scene, and so it's fantasy, it's ball gowns, it's all of that.
So fun.
Uh, it's yeah, and that's just a 2-day night masquerade ball in LA. And then after that is the uncanny experience over on in Minnesota.
That's
And then
so
after that
good.
is New York. I know why Minnesota? Why not New York? But the back to back to back, no, I don't wish to breathe.
Yeah,
I don't wish to reflect on
like
real life.
keep
I wish to
going.
be in the nerd space from now to the end of the year. So,
Yeah. Wow, like that sounds amazing. I can't wait to see like post about it, like going to, Minnesota, New York after, like always on the move. That sounds again so exciting. Like props to you.
thank you.
And what advice do you have for someone that wants to be like an up and coming like movie content creator, movie influencer? What would you tell them?
Well, when I give advice, my advice is always, I'm not an expert. I can't tell you, I can't tell you what to do. I can tell you what's worked for me and what hasn't, and I'm always happy to do that. I will say when it comes to any type of content creation, if it's movie based stuff, whatever, you have to be so authentic to who you are. You cannot fake it. So don't fake an interest, don't fake a demeanor or a
Ooh.
vibe anyway,
Hmm.
or anything. You have to be truly who you are, because you can't sustain it. You can't fake. You can only fake the funk for so long. You can, but you will burn yourself out.
Oh,
It's so much
yeah.
harder when you can just be authentic and have whatever that is for you. So like, obviously I am not made up like this 24/7, but I am in all of my videos because it is how I present myself to the world. That is authentic to me. Like, if that makes sense. I'm not
It
putting
does.
on makeup to do videos, but this is still who I am. If I was trying to put on makeup to do videos, I'd be exhausted. I would not want to do this. I would tap out, all of that. And then the other thing
Hmm.
is, nothing is going to be perfect the first time out. My friends still have to remind me of this, that
Hmm.
anytime I try something new, it's not going to be perfect. It's more important to get the thing out there and make adjustments and tweak and improve it as you go than try to
Right.
sit and perfect it before you even put it out there. Because there's someone out there with half the talent, but twice the gumption, that's making it because they had the audacity to put their unfinished, not perfected, sloppy, whatever. They put it out, and you're
Right.
still over there in your journal. So just
Hmm.
do it and just be yourself. Those are my biggest things. Anything else that comes after can be addressed, but that's how you get started.
I love that. That's some really good advice. I'll take that for myself as well. And what year did you start making content? Was it like during the pandemic time? When was that?
Before the pandemic,
Okay.
I be forgetting the years at this point. I want to say, I don't even remember anymore.
Hmm.
2014, maybe 2018,
Oh,
somewhere.
okay.
2014, I think, is when I got onto Instagram and was just like anyone else, just like taking pictures of my food. I would go to Disneyland and be like, "Hut churro." So
Yeah.
definitely just like taking pictures of stuff. Somewhere along the way, people were paying attention. They cared about what I wanted to say. Uh,
Yes.
2018, I started my YouTube channel. 2020, I started on Twitch. Both of those are kind of defunct right now, so don't go looking at either one of them.
Don't worry about
But
it.
and then as TikTok came along, but I would say making content with the intention
Hmm.
of like, oh, this is what I'm gonna do. 2019.
2019. And that's when you joined TikTok, or was that just a culmination of all the social medias? That's when you got started
I
officially.
don't was I think that I was on TikTok in 2020.
2020.
I don't think that I was,
Okay.
but still very like, and if you go all the way back to my first TikTok, it's like a cosplay. I'm an Amethyst from Steven Universe.
Ooh.
So, oh yeah, like
Yeah.
completely all purple. It
Hmm.
was very like, I'll just try this app out and see what happens. So if I was on TikTok, it
Right.
was not with intention at that
Okay. I
point.
get that. But
Hmm.
now, like, we see your posts, a lot of content, and you're really making it out here
Thank
in the industry.
you. Thank you
Yeah,
so
so
much.
it is really exciting. So, what are you, going to post soon? Can you share with us, like, what your posting
Oh.
schedule? Can you share that? Or you can't
My
really?
posting. Oh no, I can. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't have an NDA against myself, but let me see. My posting schedule.
Hmm.
When I have the schedule, when I have a schedule, I'm so on top of it. Life is good. I'm hitting the gym in the morning. I'm going on my hot girl walks. I'm taking my time cooking every meal because it's all done. It's been
Hmm.
planned out. The videos are made. They're just ready to be posted.
Yeah.
That is, I was able to hit that type of consistency and discipline for like a 3 month stretch, and I have not been able to get back to it since. So
It's fine.
ideally that is it is, I literally have a Google document and
Ooh.
it worked so well. But
Hmm.
it broke down just daily. Here's what I'm writing. Here's what I'm filming. Here's what I'm posting. And there's
Hmm.
enough wiggle room for if sometimes brand deals come in and it'll knock the whole schedule off, and you just have to have the flexibility, or a trailer will
Hmm.
drop. The Agatha All Along trailer done dropped like
It
2 weeks
did.
ago, and I'm still like, I gotta watch. I still have not watched the trailer so that
Oh,
my reaction can be authentic. But
right,
I just
right.
haven't had the time to do it. But when I have that schedule, I'd have had the time, because that trailer would have dropped, and I'd have been like, ooh, let's put you in right here. Done deal.
I get that.
Now I am flinging things at the wall. The episode from House of the Dragon happened on Sunday, so Sunday night I'm like,
Gotta
okay, what am I gonna talk
post about
about?
that soon.
Right? Monday morning, I'm like, all right, we're going off about Allison. So like, it just at this point it's whatever gets it done.
Yeah. No, that's understandable. Sometimes it can be very like really flexible with what you post and you can't post like every single day. It's like very varied with that.
Sometimes, me
Hmm.
personally, especially because I'm monetized on TikTok, it is
Oh,
a goal to post every single day. But that's just what
okay.
works for me.
Yeah.
And when I'm really feeling it, you might get 2 videos out of me in one day. Instagram's a little bit different. Like, Instagram's so weird because I can have a post do really, really well, and consistently the next, if I post the next day,
Hmm.
Instagram's like, we're not done showing this post love. You shut up, next post. And
Oh,
that post will get no kind of play, and I'm just like, is it me? Do I suck? So but Instagram is
that.
the one where it's like, you don't
Hmm.
have to post every day, and TikTok's like, post 5 times a day if you want to succeed here. So
Yeah.
I be telling people
No.
to do what their heart
Oh,
tells them. So
okay. Yeah, they're really different like algorithms with the two platforms. You just have to know what works best for you.
mm-hmm.
Right.
Thank you, Mason.
Well, thank you guys for commenting. We're seeing everything. Thanks. And I know you mentioned brand deals. Like, what do you think is like the key, the special element to actually like landing them in this content creation? Well, specifically for movies, 'cause I know it's different for like,
Mm-hmm.
beauty or
Mm-hmm.
lifestyle. So within our, sphere, how do
Mm-hmm.
we land those brand deals?
I would actually love to figure that out more and unlock that for me. I'm still
Okay.
getting to the point where I'm more comfortable pitching myself to brands.
Oh,
It's
oh.
that's just my personal hangup. I get really nervous about it.
Hmm.
Every brand deal that I've had, every sponsorship, every collaboration, they've approached me, which is a nice little, hey, it's a flex, but not really, because you want to be proactive. You want to go after these brands. It's great that I've been noticed, but imagine if I had sent them like, hey, I'm Tiffie and this is why you should hire me for your project. That
Hmm.
is so much more powerful. So when I figure that out and get over my own hangups, I will let you know. But I do think what has helped me secure those brand deals where they've noticed me is posting, is being consistent.
Yeah.
And it's hard, and I'm saying this knowing that I fall into the trap as well. It's not
Hmm.
about the numbers. You can have a video do 30,000 likes. If it doesn't cross the right person's feed, that's just a video with 30,000 likes. You can have a video with
Oh.
1,000 likes that somebody over at Mattel happens to see, and they're like, we need to hire this girl, and suddenly you're being paid, 5 figures to produce one video. So I think that it's showing up consistently with good quality work. If the brand finds you, or if you pitch to the brand, having that foundation of a strong work behind your name is going to be what seals the deal for you, I
Yes. I completely agree. That is just amazing advice. Thank you for sharing that.
My pleasure.
Yeah. And what is one thing you want to leave the audience as we wrap up this podcast?
I Gosh, and if I know there are a couple of people that are watching that see me on other podcasts and like, she says it every time. I sure do. I was gate kept against a lot when I was first starting out. It
Oh.
was really hard to find information. And remember, this was back in like 2014-ish, mad early. So
Mhm.
information wasn't readily available. And it was so hard getting some people to just share what they knew. Do you have advice? I don't want your spot at the table, but I'm hungry. Can you throw me a scrap? And people weren't even
Right.
willing to do that.
Mhm.
My advice to people, or what I want to leave people with, is that content creation, like any industry, can be difficult. It could be catty. It could be like high school, just dealing with different people. You have to
Mhm.
be able to advocate for yourself. You have to be able to negotiate with these brands. You have to be a multi hyphenate. Even if you only have one niche, the
Mhm.
amount of work that you have to do to conceptualize and produce the content and then
Mhm.
manage it, then you have to be a business person. I will say
Mhm.
that it's worth it because I don't work a 9 to 5. This is my main job. I will say that it's fulfilling because at the end of the day, I'm a nerd that gets to talk all day long. And it's also fulfilling because the followers that I have, it is a community.
Yes.
I talk back with people in my comments. I don't just swing back, but I talk with people in my comments. It helps guide. A lot of the time it's, what do I want to talk about? But also it's, what do they want to hear me talk about? I'll talk about that as well. So
Right.
I'll just say at the end of the day, it's worth it as a journey. If it's something that you're considering, it is mad hard. Find a community or find people that fuck with you for who you are. You don't have to beg anybody for a chance, for attention, for
Right.
money. You don't have to demean yourself. You don't have to do anything that goes against who you are as a person. I was raised Christian. People, I don't. It does not really reflect in what I do.
Mhm.
But on the back end, and with some of the deals that I receive,
Mhm.
they don't align with that
Oh.
upbringing. It doesn't matter if I talk about it here. It doesn't matter if I'm no longer active in the church like that. It goes
Mhm.
against
Your own
my
beliefs.
beliefs. No
Okay.
matter what they offer
Mhm.
me, nothing is going to make me defy that,
Okay.
for lack of a better word. And
Yeah.
that's kind of heavy. But even when it
Mhm.
comes to these brand deals, you'll never see me do TikTok shop because my space is one of entertainment, not where I'm trying to sell to you. Brand sponsorships are one
Same.
thing, but I'm not going to be like, these bamboo earrings that I got from
No.
TikTok shop. You're never going to catch me doing that. And that's just my personal thing. So just
Right.
stick true to who you are always in this space. And I
Mhm.
think that that is very powerful. It's very powerful for yourself, for how it'll affect the community around you. That is what I hope people take away from interacting with me or watching this podcast.
I love that. I really do like that advice. Like all that you shared today, very informative, really inspirational. So thank you so much, Tiffy,
Thank
for just
you.
joining today.
Of
And
course.